Hello! So I'm going to do a really quick little tutorial on how to do a basic hibiscus. I want to start off by saying that there are a gazillion different ways to do hibiscus, and everybody kind of does them a little bit differently. I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of the different ways that I do mine. Oops, sorry. This is actually my first henna tutorial with actual henna and doing a design on paper with a camera. So I am going to start off by doing a simple open design hibiscus. And the thing that I've learned is that the majority of people start off with the stamen, which is how I do it. So you just start off with a curved line and then you bring it together to make it into a pretty little stamen. From this point it's very easy. You have a north, you have a starting point. I usually like to make my first petal kind of come from behind, so I don't create a full petal with my first one, and then I create a full one with my second one, and then just keep on going around. I create 5 petals all together. And since this one is actually kind of coming around to here, I don't need to make this feel like it's going to match all the way up over to there. From here, you just kind of give them some light lines, and just so that you know, henna is very different on paper than it is on skin. I'm sure most of you know that. And this is just kind of a hint of goodness me. From this point you can kind of bring a couple of the petals closer to the stamen, and then you put a few little dots right around the middle. And then you do, there's a couple of different ways to do this too. So for this one I'm going to do the way that I have done for years, which is basically you just put a whole bunch of dots around the top, kind of making it into a point. Maybe that's a few too many, but you know, like Happy Bob says, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. So there is a very basic, very fast hibiscus. Everybody's going to look at that and go, oh my god, it's the Hawaiian flower! You know, teenage girls, they love it. If you want to add to it, and this is actually fairly large, you can do it much smaller too. If you want to add to it, you can just kind of add a leaf. Hibiscus have kind of pokey edged leaves. Maybe put another one in there just for good measure. And these are very quick and easy. And then, you know, add another $5 to your design. I sure hope that the camera's catching this. Even though hibiscus are not vines, maybe sometimes they're often with vines. Ta-da! Alright, so there's hibiscus number 1. Very simple. Doesn't take a lot. I mean, if you can do a 5-pointed flower, you can pretty much do a hibiscus. You just start it with the stamen. Okay, so let's get another piece of paper. And this is hibiscus number 2, and this was, I think that this was the first hibiscus that I learned how to do. And this is a closed or a filled in hibiscus. So again, you start with a stamen. Maybe I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. And you fill it in. And then with this one, because you want to give the impression of those same lines that I created to make the shading on the last one, because this is going to be filled in, you put a couple of lines in the front to create a negative space, and that will give a negative shading. So basically you're just kind of doing the flower twice in a row. Doing a little, what kind of looks like a little petal, and then you do the bigger petal around that. Because again, you have that stamen there. You always want to create a negative space so that people can really understand what's going on with that. Bring those together. And then you just fill. Whatever your favorite fill method is. Sometimes if I'm in a rush and I'm not doing it on paper, I'll put a great big blotch in the middle, and then I'll take my finger and I'll smear it around. And that sometimes works. I usually have to fill in little holes. But the line fill is definitely the easiest and most effective way to do it. This one's a little bit wonky. I'm going to see if I can fix that. Wonky is the technical term, you understand. This petal. Smooth that out a little bit. Okay. And the other way that I've learned how to do the tip of the stamen is to do teardrops into the center, and then you can continue on with dots or leave the dots out. There's hibiscus number 2. To add leaves to this, you can do one of two things. You can either do a big swoopy leaf, something kind of like this maybe. I'm just making this up as I go. I don't think I've ever done a leaf that looks like this, to be honest with you. Here, let's put the camera on and see what Antoinette does. But you get a point. I mean, you know, it looks like a leaf, right? Maybe a little bit. Okay. What do you think? Swirls, and then of course, if you put some dots in there, it makes it look really awesome. Voila! So there's hibiscus number 2. So you can see the difference. We've got our open hibiscus and a closed hibiscus. And it's not hard to do them. I mean, for me it's easier to do them kind of with the stamen going to the right. You can certainly do it with the stamen going to the left. You know, just swap that out. This is incredibly sloppy. I don't recommend this unless you're going for that look. Don't pay attention to this one. But see, it is possible. And you can add a little bit more extra oomph to the end, and that will give it more texture, more variation. Variation in line is one of the things I strive for. You get the picture. They're not all that hard to do. So hibiscus. I recommend going online, looking at how other people do it, looking at how tattoo artists do them, because, you know, a lot of, like, this is, you can get that done at a tattoo parlor.